Good afternoon, everyone, and it is good afternoon. And my guest today is Arnold Beeks, and he's in Romania. And in Romania, as you know, I'm in London, and Romania is 2 hours ahead of London. So it's 4 o'clock for him, and it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon for me. So welcome, Arnold. Thank you for coming on to Spiritual Infinity. And as you know, Spiritual Infinity is about people's spiritual journey, spiritual awareness, what they went through, what they're doing, how they're using their awareness, their knowledge in their own life, and how they're helping other people. So today is Arnold Beeks from Romania, and I hand you over to him. Hello, Arnold.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Thank you for coming. And for us to hear and for you to share your journey, that will help us.
Yes, it is a journey, and I get a feeling that I am still journeying.
We never stop. We never stop.
No, but that makes it interesting because it's like the saying goes, it's not about the destination, it's about the process.
Yes.
And there are so many things happening in the world at many different levels that you have to change and adapt and journey according to what's happening. So it's not a static world where I'm a static person. Well, at least that's what I think of myself, a dynamic person in a dynamic world.
Yes. Thank you for saying that. It's so very true, because what is happening today, it is a time of an awakening. And I say to my guests and those people I work with, it is a time of awakening when the powers of the universe, God, the creator, the mystic, whatever you want to call it, that all embracing and loving power is shaking us for us to remember who we are and step up.
Yes, that is critical, because previously, and for a lot of people right now, for me it was previously, I was asleep. Yeah, so yeah, you're awake or you're asleep, or, or alive, and whatever. But I would say I was totally asleep in the sense that I was a cog in the machine without realizing that there was a machine and I was the cog.
Yes. So many of us can relate to that. True.
Yeah, and that was basically my journey up to my beginning of my 40s, where I grew up in a very authoritarian family. My father was a military officer, and he was at home even worse than at work, what I understood. So that was extremely challenging for all of us.
Very disciplined.
Yes, but but the discipline, I learned discipline, and that's extremely beneficial in my life, I would say. But it's also like there was only one opinion, and it was his. Yeah, and there was only one decision, and that was his. Yeah? So that is where I grew up in, and well, yeah, it's not only growing up. Your family is basically there until they die. But the main thing is, then you get to school, you get to university, and then you go to work. In my case, I did go to work in the business world, in the corporate world, where I was, in terms of, I would say, worldly definition, quite successful. And that ended, like I said, in the beginning of my 40s, when I lost my job, I lost my house, my father died, I got divorced. So a lot of unpleasant things, let me put it like that, all at the same time. That not only forced me to change, but it was really like I wanted to change, because that is the point in time where I saw is that, especially in the business world, is that what they've been telling me, what they've been telling us, are mostly lies. And I wanted to try something outside of that world, and try and become an entrepreneur. So this is right now, when I use these words, they sound very easy to understand with it, but I'm talking about 25 years ago.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
25 years ago, when I said I wanted to be like an entrepreneur or start my own business, people were like, what's that? Yeah? So it's not a common thing, which is now fortunately a lot different, but that made the step more challenging. Let me put it like that.
Yes.
So since then, I've been on this process, this journey of awakening to who am I, what do I like to do, what do I love to do, what do I want to contribute to the world, but also like what's driving other people, what's happening in the world, what is this world in which we're living? Is it the world? Is it something else? What has an impact on my brain, on my body, on my life, on my world? So I'm continuously figuring things out, and what I'm continuously finding is that most, if not all, what I've been taught, what I've been told, is not true.
The awakening.
Yes, and it's an ongoing thing. It's like, oh, that is also not true. Oh, that's also not working like that. Oh, that's something different than that. Oh, that's something different than that. Well, right now I'm used to it, but it's kind of a shocker. Yeah, it's like,
Yes. It is a shock when you realize that this is not so. But what made you, okay, you lost your house, your father died, you lost your job and everything, and you started to look. What was it that really made you realize this is a lie? What were the
well,
things you realized this is a lie?
well,
What made you question, really?
It depends on what your definition is of this. What is this? But let me give two perspectives. One is that I thought that the whole business world was about what they what they said then, and what they say now is like, we care about the people. They don't give a damn about people. They only care about their profit and their shares and everything else. They don't care at all about people. Actually, that has become much, much worse until today.
Yes.
So that was a huge awakening when I was like, these are all hollow phrases. It's merely marketing, and it's got nothing to do with you and me and individuals. They don't give a damn. The other part happened, I would say, 3.5 years ago. I had a very severe car crash. I was 9 weeks in the hospital, to give you an idea. There was another car driver who, well, what people told me, whether it's true, I don't know, but he was looking at his phone and he put his car in front of mine, and I crashed into it with 80 kilometers an hour.
Ooh.
Without, I couldn't brake, I could nothing, like boom. So it's kind of, well, not really kind of a miracle that I survived. Yeah? And so that was very painful and a lot of problems with him. So I ended up in hospital. And just before I was supposed to go home, after 8.5 weeks, I had caught a cold. And I had a bit of a sore throat and a running nose, which I'm 100% sure I got from one of the nurses well, I didn't kiss her, but it's like she was clearly having something like the flu, and then I got it, and then they said, "Oh, you got COVID,
Oh,
so you cannot go home. We have to do a test and everything." And that is when my negative light bulb went off. It's like all these symptoms which they said, which were like you couldn't smell, you couldn't taste, you couldn't do these things, which they said with COVID. I had none of that. I was just, I'm having a cold. No, 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 you have COVID. You're not allowed to go home. You have to stay there. And going home was not easy because I lived then with my mother, who had dementia and Parkinson. She needed full-time care, which I was the person delivering that. So, and my leg was destroyed, and I could walk, whatever. So it was not that I would go home and my mother would take care of me. No, it's the other way around. But I couldn't do because I was injured at many, many different levels. So, and that's when I'm like, I don't have COVID. And what you're trying to tell me here in this hospital is just to put me full of painkillers because I was in extreme pain, which in the end lasted for 2.5 years, which is not nice, I can tell you. Couldn't sleep, I couldn't. No, but anyway, I will spare you the detail, but it was quite awful. And I was like, I don't want to have, at one point in time, they put like a spreadsheet on a whiteboard, and it showed that in total per day I would get 16 different painkillers.
oh, oh, because of
Yeah,
COVID.
like 10, 12, 2, 4, whatever, and then this part and this one and this one, and I said, I don't want that. I have pain, I understand that, and by the way, all these painkillers are not really helping for my pain. So, and I told them, and it's quite unbelievable because I thought my head was good, which was good enough, but only, I would say 3 years later, over here in Romania, I'm Dutch, by the way, here in Romania, they found out that I had traumatic brain injury, which they didn't figure out in the Netherlands. So I was like, I don't want to I don't want to keep on using all these painkillers because I don't want to get out of this hospital and become an addict.
Mm-hmm.
That Arnold guy is a weird guy. He's in a lot of pain and he doesn't want to take his painkillers. So it was really, I really had to fight with nurses, with doctors, and whatever you have to take. I said, I will take some, but less, and only a few, because again, very soon, because it was part of it was morphine, and another one which is very, very addictive. And I said, I don't want that. Huh? And then I'm like, oh, I get this. I saw in the hospital that all of these specialists, because I had all different kind of things, these specialists were not talking with each other. They also, like in business, didn't care anything about me. And I'm like, there's something completely wrong here. That's when I started to read the book from RFK about Fauci and everything around that. And then I'm like, aha. Now I know it's not only the business industry which is totally corrupt and doesn't care about you, it's also healthcare, it's also big pharma, it's also everything else. So that is when kind of the snowball got rolling.
Mm-hmm. You started to look closer at things and look deeper.
Yeah, basically everything, and it's like, oh, that's not true. Oh, that's not true either. Oh, yeah, you start to read other books. You start to. I listen a lot to podcasts. You read other blog posts, other stuff, and then it's like, oh, and there's this, and there's this, and there's this, and there's this. Like, wow, yeah, it's like it's everywhere.
Huh? Yeah. Yes. because then you had people, it forced people to open up other platforms where people could talk freely and get news from another source, and you started to hear things from a different perspective. And that then, I can imagine, because I knew these things were happening, but when you see how things were being covered up and you were bombarded to think only one way and listen to one side, and anybody who spoke up on a different level, they were shot down, humiliated, trashed, whatever. So it was forcing people now to come off the usual platforms and listen to other platforms, not because we were rebelling, I suppose we were, but because there's always other sides to the story, and we should be able to hear both sides of the story. And you realized you weren't hearing all sides of the story.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that has become worse, because you need to put in quite a lot of effort and time
Yes.
in your research to find other points of view.
Yes, because they don't want you to hear other points of view.
Exactly.
That made
and,
sense.
and that is because a lot of people are still asleep, think it's not there because they don't get to see it or read it or listen to it. But, well,
Yeah,
it
it's not
is hidden, and it is destroyed, and it is blocked, cancelled, or ignored. So yeah, you got to do a lot of work to say, hey, there are other perspectives.
Yes. You're absolutely right. You have to do the work to try and find where is the other perspectives, where is it being told, where it's being released. And you say podcasts and other platforms, it pushed you to, so you could hear other intelligent, qualified people talk on a different level to give you another view. And that, you can imagine, when you saw it, was quite shocking.
Absolutely, because most of it, not all of it, because I had already as a child, but later on, like a feeling like they're not giving me the answers. I'm a curious guy, but very much by nature. So I'd love to ask questions, and it's like, oh, you say it like this, but why is it, and how does this work? And I want to know. It's like, that's very natural to me. So, and I'm like, it doesn't make sense what they say, and they only answer question A and B, but if I ask C and D, there's nothing. You see, it's like, so. Yes. That's things which I already know. I read about. Oh yeah, it was in the hospital. I read a book which unfortunately not many people know, but it's a book called Krivda from Anna Reitort. Have you heard about that?
What was the name of the book?
Krivda is a Russian word. It's like Krivda, and the author is Anna Reitort. And I was reading that book, and it's not easy to read, but it's totally excellent about how the manipulation of us, of the financial system, of the healthcare system, of basically all the systems in the world since, let's say, 2000 years. And one point in time, I read a sentence which stuck with me ever since. And it said, is like, we're really kind of in a prison planet. And that is where I was like, yeah, that gives a word to what I've been feeling all of my life. And I mean, literally all of my life, because I shared, like, I grew up in a very, very authoritarian environment. Well, that is what a prison is. Yeah? So I immediately resonated with that. It's like, yes, we are in a prison plan. You know, when you're at school, when in my case at home, when you're in business, when you're doing everywhere, even in spiritual organizations, I can tell you, it feels like a prison, and you're only okay if you're an obedient slave in the system. Then you're fine. The moment you start to ask awkward questions, and the moment you're a little bit smarter than the leaders, they try to shut you off. Huh?
Yeah. Shut you down or trash you or put you somewhere else, turn your head somewhere. Yeah, because you shouldn't be awakened that much to know and to ask those questions.
Yeah.
So when you became awake at these things, what was your actions? What did you do?
Well, more and more research, more and more understanding, because like, hey, I want to understand this, and how is this working, and how is this, and how is this, and how, oh, is it also there? Like, yeah, it's like, again, it's my curiosity which drives is like, hey, I want to know more. I want to understand. I really want to understand why my life sucks and the life of almost all other people as well. So, it's like, what's causing that? And all of the reasons or things, they were, and you mentioned it before, they were lies. Yeah, so that is why we stay unhappy and unhealthy, because everything else is not working.
Yeah. Well, we're meant to stay unhappy and unhealthy, but because we're living in a time where we are shaken to awaken, a lot of people are realizing, no, this is not right. This is not right. And yes, it's getting worse, but by them pushing so much, it is also awakening more people. And for those who awaken, we are standing up and we are understanding and we are realizing, and specifically spiritually, because you mentioned the spiritually fact that even in spirituality you have to be careful, because some of the things out there is not quite right, because again it's there to manipulate us, to keep us thinking in a certain way. So even in spirituality, you need to be doing, and we all need to be doing our homework and questioning and thinking constantly, and looking for truth. And the truth is there within us if we push hard enough, and we can find it. So
Absolutely, and you can find not too much, but there are like-minded people. They're very good, courageous, brave people. They're people who've been doing research for even more than 30 years. So this knowledge is out there, and there are people, well, there are even people being killed for the knowledge, but they're really, really brave people who write books and talk about these things. So you're not alone.
yeah, no, we're not alone. As I said, this is the age of awakening. We're not alone, and we just have to find the courage to stand up and take that action.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So Arnold, after doing so much research and looking and finding and understanding and going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, what has it led you to do in order to change things in your life and to open up your pathway to live the life that you want to live?
Well, basically, I want to understand myself. I want to understand, like, who am I? What do I want? What do I love? Questions which were never asked. Never, ever. My father never asked, he said, hey, Arnold, what do you want? Question was never asked, but it was also not asked at school. It was not asked at university. It was not asked at business. The only thing is, like, I'm told what to do. So I got a coach when I was in the beginning of my 40, and who started asking me these questions, and I had no clue. I had no clue at all, because he was literally the first person in the world who had asked me those questions. So that's when I started soul searching and all these things, like, who am I, what do I want, whatever. And that is still going on to this very day. But obviously, I think I made a lot of progress. And that that brought me is that to my quest, and my quest explains it. My quest is how the invisible drives the visible.
Mm.
It's the invisible inside of me. It's like, you cannot know my thoughts, my emotions, my feelings, my insights, yeah. But it's also like the invisible, like we said, in the world, in our food, in the sky, in even on this planet. Yes, there's so much invisible, and that's what I'm trying to surface and understand, to understand myself and be more happy and healthy. And once I understand that, is help other people to become like that.
Yes, yes. So finding that and going on that quest, which is never ending, how do you incorporate, and as you say, you're helping other people, and how are you helping other people to also ask those questions and go on that quest? How do you guide them in that way?
Well, in two ways. Number one, you got to understand that I'm a coach for 50 years. So I was very young, and I was literally the youngest certified sports coach in the country. So coaching has been it's a very natural part of me. What I'm now doing is I call myself a brain fitness trainer. We have body fitness, but I hope and see, and that's what I'm trying to do, is that people understand that brain fitness is equally important as body fitness.
Mm-hmm.
And I developed a training program where in 15 weeks, get people to a level which took me 25 years. So it's like, that is where I'm helping people to what I call get out of the cage.
Mm-hmm. So can you explain a bit more about your brain fitness? Because as you say, your brain fitness is just as important as your body fitness. And it is. It all starts with the way you think. For you to change and transform, you have to think differently. When you think differently, you'll act differently. And to think differently is also what you put into your brain. So explain a bit of what you do there.
Well, that is absolutely part of it, where what you just beautifully said. The main thing is my training has 6 steps, and it's called the 6 R's. And the first R is to reveal how we are all in a cage. And the cage is, you have a job. In order, you have a job, and you need to pay your mortgage and buy your food and your clothes and everything else. So that's the consumption. And that is all not so nice. So you need entertainment in order to distract yourself from that. And then you need the job again. So that's the cage in which which is basically a circle in which we are a prisoner in. And then I've developed what I call straitjackets. The things which we have been talking about so far, I call them invisible straitjackets. We have limiting beliefs. That's very well-known things in coaching and therapy and whatever. But I don't think I know. There is a layer around it, and I call them straitjackets, which are limiting you, which are imposed on us by government, by military, by cult people, by all these things which are limiting us. I've identified so far 37 different straitjackets. So the first step is reveal. Then the next step is recover. Recover is we have to recover from the suppression from others, but also our own suppression, because we've been taught, at least most of us, to suppress our emotions, our feelings, our things in our body, things in spiritually, physically, everything. We've been used to not listen to it, to ignore it, to suppress it.
Mm-hmm.
But also, most people are addicted to something. So we need to recover from addiction. Because why are people addicted? Because most life is lousy. It is like people are going to school or university. Most people don't like it. Yeah? You go to work. Most people don't like it. Yeah? So it's everywhere. Like life is extremely challenging and hurtful. So why are people addicted to stuff? Because they want to escape it.
Yes, they're addicted to certain things because escapism, not having to think. Very true.
Yeah. Number 3 is to reactivate. We are basically, whether it's in school, in life, in work, in families, is to focus on the mental aspect, only on the thinking aspect. But we are ignoring that we are also emotional beings, that we're also spiritual beings, that there are environmental, social aspects, even go forward to mystical things like telepathy, whatever. There's so much more around us which is totally ignored or suppressed. So we need to reactivate it. It is part of us. We have that, but it's when it's suppressed, it gets no chance to be expressed.
Yeah, it's been dormant for so long.
Yes. Reset the lens is the next one. It's like we need to look at the world with different glasses, with different colors in my glasses. And well, I now got transparent glasses, but assume I look at the world with purple glasses or with yellow glasses. I see the world in a different way.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about it today. It's like we all are conditioned to believe everything the government says to us.
Yes. Oh, yes. Unfortunately.
That's what I call it, reset the lens. Is like, I would incline to say is like, believe nothing what the government says and do the opposite.
Hey. Yes. Yes. Because of what we've seen in the past and what's now being revealed, you can't trust what comes out in the media and what is being told, what we've been told.
Exactly. So the next step is to relearn, means we got to learn new knowledge. We got to learn new skills. We got to have a new, I call it life set. I don't call it mindset because it's too limited in my view. Yeah. So we're not prepared. If I look at folks at school or university, it doesn't matter. What they are taught is the same thing that was taught 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. It's totally not suitable for today's environment, for today's work environment, for today's social environment. So we got to relearn a lot of things, but the institutions who are supposed to do that, they don't teach us that.
Yeah.
And number 6 is to recreate. Based upon all this transformation inside of yourself, I think you got to recreate your own life, your own work, maybe your neighborhood, your city, your community, maybe your country, maybe the world. It doesn't matter. you can do everything. And so it's like that is what's needed, because the existing things moves us in a destructive thing, and we need to be creative and create a world which you and I want.
Yes. So very, very true. And it is about looking, and all those subjects you're quite, I can resonate with all of them. Reveal, recover, reactivate, reset, relearn, recreate. And it is about unlearning all that we've been told and relearning. And as you quite rightly pointed out, that this deception is not just now, it's been happening for hundreds of years. It's been working on, and it's been getting stronger. That's why we've been coming down and down and down, and now we have been shaken to awaken us to these things. And it is about shutting down, opening up, and relearning everything from scratch, because we haven't been told the truth, and a lot of the things we're learning is incorrect. And it
Yes,
is
that is very frustrating. I tell you, that is like, yeah, because because of my upbringing, I was very good in what I call fitting in, but in what I now call flying out and extraordinary, and is like, oh, I got to figure it out all from scratch. And well, but that's also nice and interesting to do. But it's like I came across, well, a year ago or so. Have you heard about it? Was an expression from the Greeks, the old Greeks, and it says, "Die before you die." And that stuck with me, because that is what is needed, is that you got to die to your old life. Yeah? And you got to build and create a new life, and forget about everything what you've been taught and told, because it's not true. So it like, and that's what I feel very intensely myself. Is like, I'm like, I have the feeling like I've started my whole life over again. It's kind of a, well, rebirth or relive or relive, or doesn't matter. It's like I got to drop everything where I've been working on and what I know, whatever. It's like, that's rubbish. It's making me worse off. I got to find something new and create this new life.
Yeah. And when you say die before we die, it's actually kill off, put down, destroy, wipe away all that we've known, and relearn, so that we can live the life and create the life we're meant to live before our time on this earth plane at this time is at an end. So it's about relearning, redoing all this, so that we can really live the way we're supposed to live, enjoy and see, and be a part of the recreation of this earth. And because we are capable of recreating society, it's down to us, because we are society. We are the world. We're just small bits. But if all those bits, or at least 40% of those bits, wake up, we can have such a powerful reaction on what happens in this world.
Yes, and in the numbers game is like, in the end, I don't know, maybe it's a million or a few million people are pulling the strings.
Yeah,
that is nothing related. We're with 8 billion people.
this is it. I think this is the ironic thing. When you start to look at the numbers and you start to look at it, you realize that there are so many people in the world, but it's only these ones who are pulling the string. So with this, we're powerful. If we can just wake up, stand up, these go to nothing. But we've got to wake up. We've got to wake up and change that, because it's ridiculous. It's this controlling this.
Absolutely. And I just recently had I asked AI to develop a logo for my brain fitness, and I said I want to use something, a tool which is called the Plineus. Have you heard about that?
No, I haven't.
I don't know. A few years ago, I found out what a Plineus is. It's a kind of a cap which in the Roman days a slave would get after, let's say, 10 years they were a slave. They were officially free. It's like, yeah, that might have been say, hey, you're a slave, but after 10 years or 5 years or 15 years, it doesn't matter. It's like you're free, yeah, and you're really free to do whatever you want because you kind of fulfilled your obligation and whatever, and you're free. And then they gave him a special cap, and it's called the Plineus. So as a sign that that person is no longer a slave, but a free and capable citizen in the world. So that is what I'm now using in my logo, because I think that is a beautiful sign. Yeah?
Yeah,
And that was also true for me when I started in my 40s. Like I was not free, and now I'm on my journey to become free.
yeah, yeah. So right. So right. Planaeus. I must look that up actually. No. So you are working with people to with this brain fitness, which is very apt, and it's highlighting that yes, physically it's one thing, but it's the brain. How we think is so important in this time and age, and it is about unlearning and relearning. Only then can we live the life that we're meant to live. So Arnold, you've created this system, and you're doing these. Um, how many people do you have classes that's going on? Of course you do. How can people contact you? How can people join even to see more about this?
I got three different products, and they're all listed on my website. It's called braingym.fitness. Braingym.fitness. My main training is to help people from fitting in to flying out. It's a 15-week online training program where each week there's a 90-minute live session where I'm teaching people around these 6 hours what they can apply in their own life and in their own world.
Um,
That is the flagship training program from fitting into flying out. I have some master classes which are online videos which people can purchase, where it's like a personal workshop. I'm talking to you, I'm asking you questions around specific topics like emotions, like curiosity, like relationships, like your uniqueness. So those are master classes that you can also find them on the website. And well, one of these days, I just written a new book, which is called The Adventures of Dr. Alfred Moore, which is a book about a traditional heart specialist in a hospital who is on his journey becoming an entrepreneur, and say because the healthcare system is too corrupt and too limiting in what he's trying to do to make people healthy. That is that journey is what I describe in the book.
okay, all right. So, and so, what is the name of the book?
The Adventures of Dr. Alfred Moore.
Okay, Alfred. How do you spell Mark?
M-O-R.
Oh, Dr. Alfred Moore. Moore. Okay. So you have that book, you have your classes that people can connect with you in your brain classes, and you have that online. And can people, how can people also just contact you just to, suppose they wanted one-to-one or just talk to you to ask questions, that things that they may be wanting to understand or know, is that it's a way they can contact you and one-to-one?
Yes, I also do one-on-one coaching. The From Fitting into Flying Out training program is a group training online, but again, it's live. I'm teaching myself the class. On my homepage on my website, there's a link where they can book a half-an-hour meeting with me and ask those questions or clarifications or things they just want to discuss or things which are unclear. That they can just book a meeting with me and we can discuss.
Good. That's good. So I will get all the details and put them on when this podcast goes out. So if you've listened and you haven't been able to write down, don't worry, I will get that written out. Alfred, before we say goodbye, but saying goodbye, thank you so much for being brave enough to stand up and say your journey of the lies and things that are around us. Sometimes we have to be sensitive to what we say because of the situation that goes on, and I'm very glad that you have spoken about that and brought it out. Is there any little gold nugget you can leave to our listeners that will help them along their journey?
Yes, there are 3 things which I hopefully people will apply in their lives. Number 1 is live your own life. Number 2 is love yourself unconditionally. And number 3 is do something new.
Okay, has everybody got that? Live your own life. Love yourself unconditionally. And do something new. And I take it when you're doing something new, again, it's working the brain, getting outside the box, finding that bravery within us to step out and do something different and to refresh and realize there's so much going on out there and not to be afraid.
Yeah, but it can be a simple thing is like if you always order your food from the delivery service, is like try cooking yourself, or it's like learn a new language, or it's like if you're always sitting in your car or in the train or sitting at your work, go for a walk each day of half an hour.
Mm.
That is also doing something new.
Yeah. And which is working our senses, doing something different with our own senses and our body, and experiencing different things around us. Arnold Beeks, thank you so very much for this talk. And I know the listeners have been shaken to awaken to realize that what we're told out there isn't always the truth, and not just in one aspect of our society, but in all. Religion as well. And we have to question everything. And there are books and there are platforms. Now, before I leave, Arnold, you did so much research looking and finding out. Are there any particular books that you've read that has really struck you that you think will help other people to awaken in their journey, will help them in their journey?
Well, one book I already mentioned, it's called Krivda by Anna Reitort. I will mail it to you so you can put it in the show notes.
Yes.
But the other one is definitely David Icke. His last 3 books are a trilogy. I think it's called The Trap, The Reveal, and The Dream. They're together a bit. David
Icke. Brilliant. He's been going for years.
What that man is doing, and if you read those 3 books, you know what's happening in the world.
Yeah, he is incredible. I read him many years ago, so I probably need to get some of his latest ones. He is a pioneer. He is a
Uh,
pioneer, stood up from a young age and has been giving out the message. And he was hounded and shot down for a long time and made to look as though he's mad. He's talking rubbish. But as time goes on and COVID's taken place and so many things have happened, people are realizing he may not be talking rubbish after all. But to understand that, you have to be willing to step out the box, step out of your mind, and have that open mind and open heart, and be brave enough to question.
Absolutely.
So, Arnold, thank you so very much. And to all my visitors who've joined us today, thank you. And I will encourage you all to really step out of the box. Be brave enough. There's books, David Icke, very well known. There are several. Arnold is going to give it. It's Creevus, I believe.
Krivda.
Grievda. And I'm certainly going to have a look at that one. But it is a journey of awakening, and it's a wonderful journey. And it's empowering and strengthening as well. So,
Totally. Totally.
so for me, Zenzi in London and Arnold in Romania, and all of you are watching from all around the world, thank you for joining us, and bye for now. Bye, everyone.